welcome into a Hail Varsity exclusive. Rebekah Allick is joining me now for a volleyball season preview. Rebekah, tell me about the excitement in this gym with the team you have this year.
Oh my gosh, it's honestly hard to put into words. I've been a part of a lot of competitive teams, but it's another thing for the talent to also match that. I mean, any player at any time can do damage in this gym, and however the teams differentiate through time, like the A and B squad, like it's pretty even.
How fun is that competition, the 6-on-6 matchups, and just getting to get the best out of each other every day?
Oh, I love it. I would argue that like our 6-on-6s are harder than some matches, and I mean, I look forward to it. Whenever we get to go live, it revs me up, and I think it will keep us on our toes as well. For the returners, I think Dani said it really well during Big Ten Media Day, talking about, a lot of our returners are obviously a stature and a talent, but these freshmen and newbies are a force to be reckoned with. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we have a lot of change-ups moving forward.
Well, the biggest change in Lincoln is, of course, Dani Busboom Kelly taking over, but you wouldn't really suspect there was too much of a change just with how seamless it's felt. How has that been from your perspective?
Exactly that, seamless. She's been incredibly transparent. One of our first meetings with her was coaches changes, the plan moving forward, even for the next 2 years, for those that will still be here. Just transparency has been the name of the game, and I think that's what has allowed a lot of us to buy in. And she's followed through on every single one of those things. So her consistency, transparency, and also I will add what John had to say about her before she got here. He acknowledged over the last 8 years her success versus his, and I think that spoke volumes. That he was able to acknowledge that she was arguably more successful than our program in the last 8 years, and which I didn't even realize. But I was like, oh wow, like it's one thing to have the personality, but to also have the stats, that says a lot.
Yeah, when you think back to the Final Four, it's kind of funny. Dani and her team were there as well, right alongside the Huskers and John Cook in that semifinal. But what do you take away most from that semifinal loss last season? Because I remember watching you walk off the court, basically in the arms of Andy and Harper, just kind of helping you off the court. And obviously, you were pretty emotional after that.
Oh man, so just like reflecting back on it. Is that your question?
Yeah, just reflecting back on that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It still burns. It was just different. My freshman year, that was a freaking fluke. That was infuriating. And then my sophomore year, that was just brutal. An absolute beatdown on national television. So, yeah, kudos to Texas. And then Penn State, man, that is just like a gritty match. And on top of that, they're really good people. I had a brief conversation with Katie, the head coach, before, just honestly congratulating her on everything that she's done so far and will continue to do for the sport, and just for women in general. And so, at the end of the game, I was wishing them luck and, telling them to go kick some butt. Yeah, so like in the name of sportsmanship, honestly, it was like, okay, like I tip my hat to you. But leaving and like sitting in the locker room, it was just like a mixture of anger, sadness, and like, I don't know, because I feel like I left everything out on the floor. And those losses are hard, but you're able to like live through that because you knew you did everything you could, and sometimes the other person's just better. But yeah, that loss, honestly, like I don't know if there's much I would have done different, and I think a lot of the girls would say the same. But yeah, it was just like a tough loss. It was unsettling just because I don't know. Obviously, like that was my last chance to win one with John Cook. And my seniors, I absolutely adore my senior class. They still feel like my seniors to me, even though they're all living like completely different lives now. So yeah, it was hard because that would be the last time you guys were all going to play together. And yeah, I talk about it a lot. Like change is really hard. You buy into something for so long, and you can see the end is coming, but it's another thing to actually be on the other side of that. But I guess in a nutshell, like that loss was like a good loss. Like it sucked, but not nearly as bad as 2023, to be honest.
What was said in that locker room afterwards, just with the returners, that you have another chance?
Well, to be honest, there wasn't much conversation for 24 or the 25 season. Honestly, like the seniors just kept talking about how grateful they were and like how proud of them or proud of us they were, and like of course we wanted to win, but everything that we'd gone through that season and the time we spent together, like everyone said that they wouldn't have done anything different. Like they would have gone through the exact same thing with this group just because of how much we bought into each other and just took time to get to know each other. Like, I think it's easy for competitive athletes to like kind of treat their teammates like a product. I can say that I did that my freshman and sophomore year. And then Merritt helped me show the importance of relationship, and it added so much value to my experience in college. So yeah, a lot of the veterans or the alumni now, like their biggest thing was just gratitude. Like they were just grateful for their time in Nebraska.
How has that changed your perspective from the first 2 seasons on volleyball and life? And I know you touched a little bit on this at Big Ten Media Days.
Oh my gosh, it's changed everything. I mean, it has really allowed me to, and also like forced me to become aware of the people around me, because I can get very tunnel visioned on my goals, because I can see my goal and I can see how I can get there, and anything that would get in the way of that was like, I don't want any piece of it, right? And again, Merritt just helped me slow down and be like, okay, yes, you can go fast by yourself, but you will go farther with us. And that includes like messy losses, messy conversations, just mess in general was very human. And that was something I thought was going to weigh me down. But I see now, and like in this last spring season and in the gym, like messiness is what makes us human. And that honestly allowed me to play so free. And I just want to have no regrets on how I go about things. Like I'm honing in on my nutrition, my sleep, like all those things that will set me up professionally, but also has allowed me to like, I just want to appreciate and savor every moment I have left at Devaney, because I know it will never, ever be the same. Like after that last whistle blows, regardless of where we're at in the season or like where we're at in postseason, like I just have to accept that this phase of my life is over. And I don't know, like I want to be able to like run and jump off that ledge. I don't want to like hold anything back. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to know. And if I do decide to look back, that like, okay, yeah, I did it right. Obviously in the beginning and even like junior, sophomore year, like there were some things I wish I would have done different. I want to have no regrets my senior year. And I just want everyone to know that my heart and my mind's in the right place.
Does that add a sense of urgency for you this season, or how would you describe this year for you when you take a look at where you want to end up at the end of the year?
Yeah, it's definitely a mix. It's like, yeah, you want to have urgency to win everything, but in part of savoring all my moments here, I'm just trying to take it day by day. I've been practicing mindfulness again because I've been so blessed with NIL opportunities and people wanting to work with me. And, I can get a little distracted sometimes from that, and I don't want to lose what's actually important. Like, I love the game of volleyball. And so, yeah, in that I do have urgency, but I just want to make sure that I'm staying present. So that's most important.
Yeah. Tell me about this team you have with the depth and the new faces. How has everything been meshing together so far?
Very well. I mean, same thing with Dani, like seamless. I feel like, in any groups of people, there will be disconnects, again, because we're human and things can get messy. And I would argue that any team that has it figured all the way out, like, that can't be real. Long story short, there's no shot. Like, I think in accepting, like, where our faults are is when we can actually start to build on that and, figure it out. But, yeah, it's been really good. Again, with Dani's communication style, it's allowed a lot of us to open up with each other and be more honest. And I think it will make the scary moments less scary in the future.
What about Virginia Adriano? I think a lot of fans are going to be intrigued to see her play the Italian outside, 6'4". What's she like in the gym?
Oh, she's so fun. Off the court, incredibly fun. On the court, also fun. And she's very, like, boom, go get this, I'm going to do this. A very determined woman. I admire her a lot just for her personality, and I love her sense of humor. She makes me laugh. And, yeah, I've loved playing with her. She's a great blocker. I love her range as an attacker. I think she's incredibly talented. Like, kudos to the coaches. They got a good one.
What has been your impression of the freshmen, too?
They're tough. Like, I keep pushing them. I'm like, don't apologize for stepping on toes. Like, you were brought here for a reason, and you don't have to wait till you're a sophomore or junior to cause damage, right? Michaela Fecky stepped up near the end of her freshman year. Who's to say you don't step up right at the beginning of the year? It is rare, but the thing about Nebraska volleyball is, like, we find the most talented ones, obviously in the world with like people like Virginia. And so every single person in this gym is qualified to start and to play a lot of points or minutes or whatever. And yeah, I am very impressed with the freshmen.
I want to go back to your journey a little bit too. Would you have ever thought you'd be a Nebraska Cornhusker player?
Yes and no. I have a funny story actually. So I was, like 12, 11, and this was, what year was this? Like Nebraska's always been on top, but I think they had just won. Maybe it was 2017.
Mhm.
Yeah, like back to back or whatever. Was that 2015 and 2017?
Yeah, 2015, 2017. Yep.
Yeah, so like they're just winning a whole lot, causing a lot of damage per usual. And I remember like I wasn't fully aware of like the weight of my words, but I was like, oh, I would never play for Nebraska. Like I want to go play for an underdog team and then beat Nebraska. And now here I am, in love with this program. I'm in love with this city, and again, like I genuinely didn't know what I was talking. Thought I was talking big game back then, and here I am, just in love with this place. So yeah, I thought I was gonna be like an underdog at some random school and take on the big dog, and like, no, I'm happier on this side of the net.
Yeah. So how did you fall in love with the sport of volleyball?
It was from a young age, but I think how I fell in love with it was just the chase. Like I love the chase, and I figured out basketball. I figured that out pretty quick, and I knew I was always gonna like fill out and be strong. It's in my parents' genetics. I could just see the way my life was gonna go, and I just love in women's volleyball. Like you're not just appreciated. Yeah, like you're appreciated as a woman, but like people aren't like, oh, you're good for a female athlete. Like you're admired because you're just a freaking athlete. You can do crazy things with your body, and you can do it for long periods of time. Like you are just seen as an athlete, and I never wanted people to just treat me that way. Like in women's basketball, I feel like sometimes if we're not throwing up these crazy stats, you're not going to be appreciated in your sport. And I just didn't want to deal with that. Like I was like, you know what? No, I want to go do something where I'm going to be treated like everyone else. And like I would argue women's volleyball, and I think a lot of people would agree, that women's volleyball is way more popular than men's. Even though men's is obviously at a higher caliber, people just appreciate women's volleyball more. And so I knew that if I earned my way in women's volleyball, it would be because, like I did that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to play the victim card or anything. And so I just love the chase. It has always been hard for me. I do think I'm just finally tapping into my potential this year, which is really exciting, knowing that I will be starting pro here in the next 6-7 months, hopefully. And yeah, I've just always loved the chase with volleyball.
So where do you think your personality on the court comes from? Mom, dad side? What's your influence, or a player?
Honestly, I don't know. I would say maybe both, and even some inspiration from my brother. I gave him a hard time, Josiah. I always gave him a hard time growing up because he never cared about what people thought. I thought he was the weirdo and the loser, and I realize now that like bro is winning at life. He just proposed to his girlfriend Raina. She's an absolute gem, and he has had the same group of friends since middle school, and not a lot of people can say that. I think there's actually a few friends from elementary school, and yeah, I admire him so much. And he always talked about, it's easy to be yourself because you know exactly what that is versus trying to maintain a mask. That changes depending on who you're around. Versus when you're yourself, like you wake up and you just do your thing. You don't have to think about it. You just are. And that resonated with me a lot in college. With Nebraska volleyball, I think it's really easy to forget where we come from. And like, especially now NIL, it's really easy to get out of touch with like what's important. And part of what Josiah always told me growing up, and my parents, I think that allows me just to be myself. I have a professional side. I have a playful side, and I want everyone to know that. I don't want to be thrown in a box, right? Like, part of what allows me to be so free is my faith. Like, I want to live freely in my faith. I want to play freely in my faith, and yeah.
I also wanted to touch on just the pressure at Nebraska, but not only on the court, but also off the court, the way you kind of mentioned how you handle yourself, how you show up in the community, how you interact with people. You have so many eyes on you all the time. How do you deal with that? Because, I mean, you're still figuring out life yourself at, 20-some years old.
Right. Yeah. That's a great question. And honestly, I've been reflecting on that a lot this last week. And it goes back to my faith. Jesus has always said, who do they say that I am, when he challenged the apostles? And I ask my question that regularly. As a Christian, it's incredibly important for me to reflect on, what makes me me. And if I believe that my faith is the root of all things and like what is most important, the only person's opinion that matters is God's. And so I ask myself a lot, honestly, regularly, and I think I will be moving forward this season, is like, Lord, who do you say that I am?
When it's all said and done, Rebekah, how do you want to be remembered at Nebraska by the fans?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I want people to remember me as someone who just did the right thing. It doesn't take you being put on billboards, magazines, interviews to do the right thing. You can do it in your home, on the street, in big settings and quiet settings. I just want, I guess just to also be yourself. I don't know. That's such a great question.
It's a hard one.
It is, it's like a lot, but yeah, I just want, like, I'm just like you, and it doesn't take anything miraculous to do the right thing.
All right, well, I'll leave you with this. What is your goal for the season, and where do you foresee this Nebraska volleyball team?
Yeah, volleyball-wise, I want us to win a national championship. I would love to see a couple All-Americans. That would be so cool. Maybe even ABC Player of the Year. That'd be sick. Conference title. Yeah, I just want to kick butt and take names. You know what I mean? I mean, like I said before at Big Ten, like, accolades are great, but nothing quite beats the face-to-face fight every Friday and Saturday night. So that's what I'm looking forward to. If the accolades rolling, awesome, but the satisfaction comes from actually beating the people. So
yeah. Well, I know Husker Nation is very excited, Rebekah. Thank you so much for your time, and best of luck this year.
Thank you.